Attachment is not love, the prison we mistake for love. The most dangerous lie we tell ourselves isn't about success, money, or power, it's about love. Tonight, as millions scroll through memories of lost connections, text ex-partners at 2 a.m., or silently weep over relationships that shattered them, they aren't suffering from too much love. They're imprisoned by attachment, masquerading as love. Carl Jung understood this truth, that society desperately tries to hide. What keeps you awake at night, clutching your phone or staring at old photographs, isn't love, it's fear disguised as devotion. And until you can tell the difference between the chains of attachment and the wings of love, you'll remain trapped in cycles of emotional dependency that drain your spirit while promising the very fulfillment they make impossible. The liberation you seek isn't in finding someone who will never leave. It's in discovering why you fear being left in the first place. Attachment is not love. We have been taught that love hurts, that when someone really matters to you, you should fear losing them, that loving means needing to cling, to depend. But Carl Jung left us a truth that few dare to accept. Attachment is not love, it's a disguised form of fear. When you become attached to someone, it's not just because you love them, it's because deep down, you feel that without that person, something in you remains incomplete. You feel that without their presence, your life loses meaning. You feel that without their validation, your worth as a person diminishes. You feel that without their love, something in you breaks. But here's the truth. That's not love. It's emotional dependency. Real love is expansion, not chaining. It's sharing from freedom, not from emptiness. It's being with someone because you choose to, not because you need them to feel complete. But most people confuse love with attachment because they have lived in relationships where the fear of losing was stronger than the desire to share. And here's where I want you to ask yourself something. Do you really love that person? Or do you just fear being without them? How attachment disguises itself as love. Attachment is not just feeling that you need someone in your life. Attachment is feeling that without that person, you lose a part of yourself. And it's easy to justify it. It's easy to say that you love someone so much that you can't imagine your life without them. But the problem isn't in loving. The problem is in believing that without that person, love disappears. If you believe that love is in the other person and not in you, you become a prisoner of the bond. If you believe you need someone to feel valuable, your happiness will always depend on external factors. If you feel that without that person you lose stability, it means you were using them as an anchor to hold yourself. And here's the hardest part to accept. When attachment governs your life, fear becomes the driving force of the relationship. Fear that they'll change. Fear that they'll drift away. Fear that they'll no longer love you. Fear that one day they'll be gone. That's not love. It's fear of loss. When you love, you add. When you become attached, you cling. The difference between love and attachment is simple. Love lets you be yourself without fear of losing. Attachment makes you feel that without the other, you are not enough. Love flows. Attachment imprisons. Love is free. Attachment is possessive. Love is a complement. Attachment is a dependency. If you feel that without that person you fall apart, it's not love. It's a sign that you've put your happiness in someone else's hands. And this is where detachment becomes necessary, not because you should distance yourself from the person, but because you need to recover the most important relationship in your life, the one you have with yourself. Because when you depend emotionally on someone, you give them control of your well-being. If they stay, you're happy. If they leave, you sink. And deep down, you know that's not healthy. Loving without depending, the balance few achieve. Carl Jung said that love does not need to possess, it only needs to understand. When you love from connection rather than dependency, you stop needing to control. When you understand that no one is responsible for your happiness, you stop clinging. When you realize that love is not a limited resource, you stop fearing it will run out. Because real love is not fear, it's not anxiety, it's not anguish at the possibility of losing. Real love is freedom, but to experience it, you first need to free yourself from attachment. You need to learn to let go without fear. You need to understand that detachment doesn't mean losing, but regaining your peace. And here's where the most important question comes. How do you let go without feeling like you're losing something? How do you release without being left with emptiness? That's what we'll discover in the next point, because detaching from someone doesn't mean giving up on love. It means reclaiming yourself. Why letting go of someone doesn't mean losing, but regaining your freedom. Letting go is one of the most difficult experiences for human beings. From an early age, we are taught that true love is one that lasts forever, that when someone really matters, we should do everything possible to keep them close. We have been conditioned to think that detachment is synonymous with failure, that letting go is losing. But here's the truth that few want to accept. Letting go of someone doesn't mean losing. It means freeing yourself from the idea that your happiness depends on their presence. Because love shouldn't be a prison. You shouldn't constantly fear that the person will change, drift away, or one day decide to take another path. Because when fear dominates, love becomes a burden instead of a gift. Carl Jung said that nothing has a stronger psychological influence on its environment than the unlived life of a parent. That phrase doesn't just apply to parents, but to any relationship. When you sacrifice your essence to be with someone, when you abandon parts of yourself to sustain a bond, when you stay where you're no longer happy out of fear of letting go, you're giving up your own life. And that's the worst loss of all. The fear of letting go is not love, it's dependency. If thinking about letting someone go terrifies you, ask yourself this question: is it really love that binds you, or is it fear of being alone? Sometimes we believe we can't let go of someone because we love them too much. But if you delve into that emotion, you'll often discover that what really holds you back is fear of not finding another person to connect with, fear of facing yourself without the distraction of the relationship, fear that the emptiness you feel will grow larger. But here's the irony. The emptiness was already there before that person. You just disguised it when you were with someone. You believed their love filled it, but the truth is that no one can fill a void that only you can heal. Letting go of someone doesn't mean that person wasn't important. It doesn't mean you should forget what you lived. It doesn't mean that love didn't exist. It means you choose to put yourself first. It means you choose your peace over a relationship that consumes you. It means you choose to recover your energy instead of wearing yourself out for someone who is no longer present. It means you choose to move forward instead of staying trapped in what was. Letting go doesn't mean stopping to love. It means stopping to suffer. Many people believe that detaching implies becoming cold, cutting from the root, forgetting what was lived. But true detachment is not unloving. You can let go of someone and still appreciate what they meant in your life. You can let go without resentment. You can move forward without erasing the past, but without getting trapped in it. The difference between letting go with love and letting go with suffering is how you interpret the farewell. If you see detachment as a loss, it will hurt as if something that belongs to you is being taken away. But if you see it as an act of love towards yourself, as the opportunity to recover your space, your energy, and your freedom, then letting go becomes an open door, not an ending. When you cling, you chain yourself. If you've ever tried to sustain a relationship at all costs, you'll know that the more you cling, the more you suffer. The more you try to retain someone who wants to leave, the more you wear yourself out. The more you struggle to recover something that's already broken, the more you frustrate yourself. Because attachment doesn't strengthen bonds, it suffocates them. If love is real, it doesn't need to be forced. If the connection is genuine, it's not sustained by fear, but by choice. If a person really wants to be in your life, they will be without you having to convince them. That's why when you cling to someone who is no longer emotionally present, you chain yourself to an illusion. You get trapped in the idea of what the relationship was, in what it could have been, in the version of the person you met that may no longer exist. But tell me this, how much longer do you plan to keep holding onto what's already gone? How much more energy are you going to spend on someone who has perhaps already moved on. Letting go is reclaiming your power. When you let go, you realize that the only person you really need in your life is yourself. Not because others don't matter, but because self-love is the foundation of any healthy relationship. You can't love from a place of lack. You can't share your life if you don't belong to yourself first. You can't build a strong bond if the fear of losing is always present. Letting go doesn't mean losing. It means recovering your space. It means choosing yourself again. It means opening up to new possibilities. It means trusting that what is meant for you will arrive without the need to force it. How to heal without repressing. Letting go without closing yourself to love. When we lose someone who has been important in our life, pain is inevitable. It's as if something inside us breaks, as if a part of our identity crumbles with the absence of that person. And this is where many people make the biggest mistake. Either they get trapped in suffering, reliving the past over and over again, or they become cold, closing themselves off to love so they don't feel pain again. But Carl Jung taught us something fundamental. What you deny subdues you. What you accept transforms you. If you try to heal by ignoring what you feel, you'll only push it deeper inside you. And sooner or later, it will come back out, disguised as fear, distrust, insecurity. Healing is not forgetting. Healing is not repressing. Healing is learning to feel without getting trapped in pain. And the key to doing this is allowing yourself to go through the process without fear of what it might awaken in you. The mistake of repressing pain. We live in a society that teaches us to quickly overcome what hurts us. We're told that time heals all, that we must be strong, that moving forward is a matter of distracting ourselves and not thinking too much. But that's not healing, it's evading, because the pain you don't process stays inside you. It becomes resentment, it becomes fear of trusting again. It becomes a wall you build between you and love. Have you ever known someone who, after a failed relationship, says things like, "I'll never fall in love again. I can't trust anyone anymore. Love only brings suffering." That person hasn't healed. They've just closed their heart to avoid feeling vulnerable again. And instead of learning from their experience, they live in a constant state of protection, avoiding any real connection for fear of being hurt again. But tell me this, what's the point of protecting yourself from love if in the process you also deprive yourself of experiencing it? Feeling the pain is part of the process. If you want to truly heal, you can't skip the pain. You have to face it. You have to allow yourself to feel the sadness, the anger, the nostalgia. You have to accept that it's normal to miss someone who was important to you. You have to allow each emotion to run its course without trying to block it. Because the pain you accept dissolves, but the pain you repress becomes a burden you carry for years. Don't be afraid to feel. Don't punish yourself for being sad. Don't believe that, because you've decided to let go, you don't have the right to experience grief. Only when you allow yourself to feel without attaching to the suffering can you truly heal. Healing doesn't mean closing your heart. Many people believe that the only way to avoid suffering again is to close themselves off. They decide they won't trust anyone again. They decide it's better not to risk again. They decide to build walls around their heart so they don't feel pain again. But that's not the solution. Protecting yourself from love doesn't make you stronger. It just makes you lonelier. If you've been hurt, if you've had to let someone go, if love has hurt you in the past, that doesn't mean it will always be that way. Each person who enters your life is a different experience. Each connection has something new to teach you. Each story is unique. If you close yourself off because of what has already happened, you'll be denying yourself the possibility of experiencing something better. Don't let a negative experience define your capacity to love. Don't let fear decide for you. Don't let the pain of the past become the reason why you don't allow yourself to open your heart in the future. Because healing is not just letting go of pain, it's learning to trust again, how to let go without hardening. Here's where many people get confused. They think that detachment means becoming cold, indifferent, distant. That to avoid suffering, they must cut any emotion at the root. That to heal, they must convince themselves that they never cared. But detachment is not disconnection. It's not about becoming immune to emotions, but about learning to experience them without getting trapped in them. It's not about forgetting what you lived, but about learning from it without resentment. It's not about stopping to love, but about understanding that love was never something you had to possess. Carl Jung said that the key to emotional freedom is to integrate the experience without clinging to it, to be grateful for what was without the need to relive it, to learn from what you lived without fear of repeating it, to make space for the new without carrying the old. That's healing. It's not running away from love, but finding a healthier way to experience it. It's not hardening, but learning to feel without depending. It's not forgetting who you loved, but releasing them with gratitude instead of with pain. Love is not the problem. The problem is how you have interpreted it until now. If you've lived it from lack, you'll learn to see it as suffering. If you've experienced it from attachment, you'll believe that without it, you are nothing. If you've used it to fill voids, you'll feel that without the other person, something in you is broken. But when you learn to love without fear, without dependency, without possession, then you realize that love is not something that comes from outside. Love has always been inside you. And when you truly understand that, you'll never be afraid to let go again. The true power is in moving forward. Now that you know that letting go doesn't mean losing, now that you understand that healing doesn't mean closing your heart, one last question remains. How do you transform this whole process into real growth? Because letting go and healing shouldn't leave you empty. They should turn you into someone stronger, more conscious, more fulfilled. Final victory is not the end of your life. It's the beginning of something much bigger, transforming pain into growth, using the experience to strengthen yourself. The pain of letting someone go can feel like an open wound. It can make you doubt yourself, wonder what you did wrong, relive the memories in your mind over and over again. But there's something you need to understand. Suffering is only destructive when you don't use it to grow. Carl Jung said that without pain, there is no consciousness. The experiences that hurt us the most don't come into our lives to destroy us, but to show us something we haven't wanted to see, to take us out of what was familiar to us and push us to a higher level of consciousness, to teach us what we need to learn about ourselves. But many people get trapped in pain. They relive it over and over again. They use it to justify their distrust. They identify so much with their suffering that they end up making it part of their identity. But here's where you have a choice. You can allow the pain to consume you, or you can use it as fuel for your transformation. Pain as a teacher, the lessons you can't ignore. Every experience you've lived, every loss, every disappointment has left something in you. Maybe you learned that you can't depend on someone else to be happy. Maybe you discovered that you hadn't set boundaries, and that led you to lose yourself in the relationship. Maybe you realized that you had settled for less than you really deserved. Pain has a purpose. It's showing you something about yourself that you hadn't wanted to see. And if instead of asking, "Why did this happen to me?" you start asking, "What can I learn from this?" everything changes. Because now the pain is not a punishment, but a tool for growth. If it left you insecure, use it to build a stronger confidence in yourself. If it made you feel like you lost your way, use it to reconnect with what you truly want. If it taught you that you gave too much without receiving the same, use it to learn to set healthy boundaries. Each scar is a reminder that you went through something difficult and survived. But the difference between someone who remains trapped in the past and someone who has evolved lies in how they decide to use their experience. Letting go doesn't weaken you, it makes you stronger. Many believe that when they let go of someone, they lose a part of themselves. But the truth is that when you let go of someone, you find yourself. Because letting go doesn't mean forgetting what you lived, but learning to move forward without getting trapped in the story. And here is where real transformation occurs. If after a painful experience, you remain the same, it means you haven't learned the lesson. But if you allow that experience to make you grow, then nothing you lived was in vain. Here's the key. Pain shouldn't make you harder. It should make you wiser. You shouldn't close yourself to love, but learn to love without fear. You shouldn't stop trusting, but learn to recognize who deserves your trust. You shouldn't carry resentment, but learn to let go with gratitude for what you lived. Life is not about avoiding pain. It's about learning from it, transforming it, turning it into something that makes you stronger. Your story doesn't end here. If you're going through a process of detachment, if you feel that letting go of someone is costing you more than you imagined, I want you to remember something. You're not losing, you're evolving. You're not leaving behind a part of you. You're discovering a stronger version of yourself. You're not giving up on love. You're learning to experience it in a healthier way. You're not condemned to repeat the same suffering. You're acquiring the wisdom not to fall into the same patterns again. And now I want you to ask yourself this question. How are you going to use this experience to grow? Because the story you lived can no longer be changed, but the story you're going to write from now on depends completely on you. Moving forward with fullness, building a life where attachment is no longer a chain. Detaching from someone is not just letting go of a relationship, it's letting go of the idea that you need someone else to feel complete. It's returning to yourself. It's reclaiming your energy. It's learning to live from freedom, not from dependency. But many people, after letting go, remain chained to the past. They keep reviewing memories. They keep waiting, deep down, for that person to come back. They keep clinging to the idea of what could have been, and without realizing it, they turn detachment into a silent weight. But here's the truth. You can't move forward while you keep looking back. You can't build something new if you remain trapped in the old. You can't feel free if you still carry the chains of attachment, the invisible attachment, the story of someone who couldn't let go. Imagine someone who ends a relationship. They say they've let go of that person, that they're fine, that they've moved on. But every night, they review their last conversation. Every time they hear a song that reminds them of that love, they feel a knot in their stomach. Every time they meet someone new, they compare them to the person they lost. On the surface, they seem detached, but in their mind, they remain tied. They keep going over every detail, thinking about what they could have done differently. They keep hoping, deep down, that destiny will give them another chance. They keep feeling that without that person, something in them is no longer the same. That's not freedom. It's an emotional prison, where the past continues to have control over the present. And the most dangerous thing about all this is that many times we don't even realize we remain chained. We convince ourselves that we're fine, that time will resolve it, that eventually the pain will disappear. But here's the question you should ask yourself. Have you really let go? Or have you just gotten used to carrying the memory? The void you think that person left has always been yours. If you think of someone you've lost and feel a void within you, I want you to remember something. That person didn't create that void. That void was always there. The difference is that while that person was in your life, you believe they filled it. You believe their love gave you something you didn't know how to give yourself. You believed their presence covered a part of you that you didn't want to face. That's why when they left, you felt you lost more than them. You felt you lost a part of yourself. But here's the truth that few accept. No one can fill you. If you feel a void, the solution is not to find someone else to cover it. The solution is to discover what part of yourself you continue to abandon. Because if you don't, you'll keep repeating the same cycle. You'll cling to the next person, hoping that this time will be different. You'll build your happiness in another relationship, believing that if it works this time, you won't suffer, and you'll lose yourself in someone else again, without realizing that the only relationship you really needed to heal was the one you have with yourself. Building a life where attachment no longer traps you. Imagine waking up each day with the certainty that nothing external defines your well-being. Imagine being able to love without fear of losing, because you understand that no one can take away what you've already found within yourself. Imagine being truly free, not because you don't have bonds, but because your bonds no longer come from need, but from fullness. That's what it means to truly move forward. It's not about forgetting the people who were important to you. It's not about becoming indifferent or cold. It's not about pretending it didn't hurt to lose them. It's about learning that love is not measured by how much you suffer when someone leaves. It's about remembering that your value doesn't change depending on who is in your life or who has left. It's about reclaiming your power, Life goes on with or without them. The question is, are you going with it? There are people who spend their entire lives looking back. They remain trapped in a story that's already ended. They keep waiting for answers that will never come. They keep feeling nostalgia for something that actually was never as perfect as they remember. And meanwhile, life continues to advance without them. Each day you spend anchored to the past is a day you lose from the present. Each time you cling to someone who is no longer there, you close the door to what could arrive. Each time you convince yourself that without that person you can't be happy, you rob yourself of the opportunity to discover that you can. So tell me, how much longer are you going to keep giving your energy to what no longer is? How much longer are you going to allow attachment to keep you chained to a story that's already ended? How much longer are you going to postpone your true freedom? Because when you truly decide to move forward, something changes within you. You realize you don't need to go back to who you were because you're building something better. You realize that love wasn't lost because it's still inside you. You realize that life isn't taking anything away from you. It's just showing you that you can be happy without depending on anyone else. That's true liberation, when you understand that no one can complete you because you're already complete. When you stop waiting for something external to fill a void that only you can heal. When you realize that love is not possession, it's presence. It's not necessity, it's choice. That day, attachment stops being a chain. That day, you stop being a prisoner of a story that's already ended. That day, you truly begin to live. So tell me, are you ready to stop looking back and start moving forward without fear? Because when you understand this, there's no turning back. You move forward, but this time without chains.